All right. We are live here at Hobby Palooza 2023. I'm Andy. She blinded me with refractors. I'm going to be flying solo today. I had reached out to a friend of mine, Michael Moeller, and he couldn't make it today. He's at a wedding. So he kind of just, left me out here to dry. So I was talking to Mike just a few minutes ago. And well, one of the first things I'd like to mention is that the Bench Clear Media, they're taking donations today for signatures for soldiers. So go ahead and donate to that if you would like to. It's a great cause. I know Mike personally handed them a check at last year's national, which was, super cool. So that's pretty good, pretty cool deal. But I was telling Mike, like I was trying to think of what I wanted to talk about today, and so I went for a walk earlier just to try to maybe get some of the juices flowing in the head. And I wrote down a few things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of read off some of the things that I wrote down, and hopefully people in the comments will have questions and comments and stuff like that, and we can kind of like just have like a interactive discussion here about some of these things. So just a little about me, like if you're not familiar with my channel, because I don't make a lot of videos anymore. Like I started, we'll get to that in a second. But so I've collected for 30 plus years, starting in 1987. My collecting has been pretty much all over the place. I've done pre-war, post-war, modern, ultra-modern, baseball, basketball, football, UFC, non-sports, all kinds of stuff. I've done player collecting. I've done set collecting, singles. I've opened wax, collected wax, just a little bit of everything. So one of the things that I was thinking about, this is something that people, I guess they keep talking about it, and sometimes I'll get asked this. People will ask if we're in a junk wax era. And my answer is kind of. It's not the same as maybe what it was in the 90s, but I think we're in kind of like some type of junk wax era, and we can talk about that a little bit. I also believe, as many people do, that we're in a junk slab era with PSA, SGC, all these companies over the last couple of years grading millions and millions and millions and millions of cards, and a lot of those cards, if submitted today at the lowest rate that these companies are offering, even in a 10 grade, would not be worth. They wouldn't sell on the secondary market for the price that it costs to grade the card. Somewhat controversial statement, maybe. I mean, some people I know for sure agree with this, and there'll probably be some people maybe not. I also think we're in a junk content era. What does that mean exactly? So you have like thousands and thousands of YouTube sports card channels, and in a lot of cases, I kind of feel like they're, saying the same things they were 2-3 years ago, and you have more and more people that are just, kind of going over the same things essentially. So a little bit about my YouTube history. I had to go back and look, but I actually made my first video on YouTube on January 21st, 2018. I was talking about my 94 finest football set registry. So I'm a recovering set registry addict as well. I've made the vast majority of my hobby friends through YouTube. I still enjoy watching my friends' videos on YouTube. And I think like most of the people that I'm friends with on YouTube, like their videos are vastly different than the ones that I'm talking about as part of this, junk content era. So I still enjoy watching those. I rarely make any of my own videos anymore because, quite honestly, I don't know what to cover anymore because so many things have been covered like hundreds and hundreds of times. This may be controversial to some people, maybe not. I think people that have sports card channels, for the most part, get way too much credit from the viewers when it comes to actually knowing what we're talking about. including myself. I think people give us way too much credit at times, and they listen and take certain things as gospel. I basically want to collect cards, and that's what I enjoy. And there's this new narrative that's I think it's being pushed by people that have interest in this, like financial interest is what I'm talking about. There's this interest about growing the hobby. Personally, I just want to enjoy the hobby, enjoy it with my friends. Like, I'm not some ambassador for the companies, whether it be the manufacturers, the grading companies, whatever. Like, I don't have like any paid sponsorships or anything with them, so I have no incentive to promote things for them. So yeah, that's a little blanket statement. So let's see if anybody has any interesting comments or takes on some of that. Okay, this is a cool one here. So my experience as a set collector, I've done this several different times over the years when it comes to set collecting, and it just so happened when I made my YouTube channel, I was really deep into the 1994 Finest Football Refractor set. I was doing a PSA registry set, so I was pretty competitive with it. And honestly, what gets me a lot of times on sets is, especially if you're doing a graded set, you have it's tough to find some of them graded. The commons, oftentimes there will be like in that set, for instance, there's a few common players that are short prints. So you'll end up paying, like, I think one time I paid like, I want to say $350, $400 for a Glenn Milburn running back for the Broncos. And this was like one of like the really tough ones to find. So a lot of times you end up paying a ton of money for, guys that you don't necessarily care a ton about. But if you're collecting the set, you need all of them, right? I still like collecting sets, and I have done some of the finest UFC gold refractor sets the last couple of years that have been fun. But yeah, it's something like I go in these different cycles when it comes to collecting. So you may see me collecting one thing today, and next week I may be doing something that's like totally different. Like there could be like 100 years apart in the gap between the years of the things I'm collecting. It could be a different sport. It could be non-sport, whatever. So yeah. Let's see here. I'm just kind of looking through some of these comments. Oh, I like this one by Ruben Snyder up here. His favorite character on Growing Pains was Boner. Like, I don't know if anybody saw the Growing Pains t-shirt here. I mean, I got to go with Mike Seaver as my favorite one. Vintage Oddball Cards, Rick. I see George in here. Pepino Man. Good to see you guys in here. Let's see. Okay, Mike, can you pull that one up? Yeah, Tom Bullard. Truth, which can be very dangerous and detrimental to people. Yeah, I agree with this, Tom, and I think the larger audience that a YouTube channel has, the more accountability they should feel as far as like making sure that the information not only is truthful that they're putting out there, but I think there's some ethical stuff as far as like putting stuff out there that, although it may be kind of true, it's self-serving to an extent. So yeah, and I see a lot of that for sure. Yeah, I feel you, Pepino. That would be a good sponsor for you, man, for sure. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good comment there. How you doing, Dave? Yeah. What I think of, Dave, a lot of times when I watch some of the stuff that I've seen over the last couple of years, it reminds me. So I stopped purposely, like I would say maybe a year and a half ago. I stopped watching the news on TV, and I found that I was just happier because so much of the stuff that that I watch on the news is just so negative, and it's just like, it's almost like they're not really just reporting the news, but they're giving their opinions on the news. And I feel like that's a lot of what YouTube sports content has become. Um, Not really so much about cards anymore. Like it's really tough to find video. It's strange, but it's tough to find videos at times that are actually about cards. And yeah, it's frustrating, but I'll live. Let's see. Yeah, John, for sure. I saw, I saw I saw your Hobby Palooza episode earlier, John. I thought that was pretty cool. I did. I enjoyed some of the photo matches that were in the Heritage set, like the Tom Seaver Max Scherzer one was really cool. So yeah, but you're right though. It's probably a lot safer to travel apart from Mike. I don't have to deal with like the paparazzi and all the all the cameras and glitz and glamour of people trying to talk to Mike. So it just makes it like more peaceful. Good question. Which card in your collection would be the last one you would sell if you had to sell? Um, so probably, so there's two cards that I have that they have a ton of sentimental value to me. They don't really have a lot of monetary value. I would never get rid of these two cards. So I have a card, this is a card, I don't know, a lot of people probably know this one, but a 1989 Topps Monty Ferris that my dad got autographed as a kid, when I was a kid. And I carry that card in my wallet. I've had that card in my wallet for several years now. And then the other card, it's a Grand Funk Railroad card that's graded like an SGC 7. So those are two cards obviously I would never get rid of. Not a lot of monetary value, but a ton of sentimental value. As far as like cards that have monetary value, that's a tough one. Probably the Harrington's Ice Cream Babe Ruth card I have. It'd be pretty tough to get rid of because it's a tough one to replace. If I had to pick today, and it could change next week, but that's the one I would pick today. Let's see. Yeah, Pepino Man says, I mainly share my collection, not trying to teach or share knowledge. Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff I like. I like it when people show their collections, and I like to see people, excited about a card that they got. Not necessarily because it was something expensive, because it's a card that they either wanted for a long time or something that meant something to them. Let's see. Yeah, Monty Ferris, Oklahoma State, and also he's actually from Leedy, Oklahoma, too, which is a small town that is located out where I grew up in western Oklahoma. So I think he's actually, if I remember right, I think he's a banker now here in Oklahoma. Yeah, John, man, right on, Grand Funk. I've actually seen them in concert, I think 7 times. I may try to go. I know they're going to be somewhere at one of the local casinos here in Oklahoma sometime this summer, so I may try to see them again. But yeah, that was my dad's favorite band when I was a kid, and so that's the kind of stuff. Like, even though I grew up like, I was born in 1979, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s, but I listened to a ton of like 70s rock music as a kid because that's what my dad listened to. And people that are in this age range that I'm in, like when you would go with your parents somewhere, they had control of the radio. And back then we didn't have like iPods or anything like that to listen to, so you listen to what they wanted to listen to. And I grew a liking for the 70s rock music. So yeah. Yeah, drama gets the view, of course. Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Tom. We're kind of in this, shock and awe world. That's what gets the views, unfortunately. Most of the videos that I watch that I really truly enjoy are by collectors, and pretty low view counts compared to some of the bigger channels, but I don't care. Yeah, Pepino for sure, man. Keep the keep the circle small. There's several good reasons for that. Yeah, Orlando, like that's cool. I've seen your video. I know you showed it again recently, but yeah, I've seen your video that you have that card, and I know that Dave has that card, and then there's another. I don't know the guy, but he has just one of the best channels that I've seen on YouTube. He's just called The Collector, and he has the full run of those, kind of like what Dave does. Zach, what's going on, Zach? Yeah, and like influencer, it's become such a such a bad word in the hobby because of you know all these people. Like I like when I talk to like hobby friends, I like to maybe look at it as though they might motivate me to start looking at certain things or inspire me to start looking at certain things. But at the end of the day, you have to you have to buy stuff that you like. You can't just buy stuff because other people like it or other people want you to. It has to be because you're the one that's going to pay the money and you're going to have it in your collection. So, and I think a lot of people have, probably learned that lesson the hard way over the last few years. And I mean, most of them probably, weren't trying to collect so much as, make money. But even if you're trying to make money, like there's not a lot of people on YouTube that I would listen to in that either. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Slide a little more to the right. Oh, you need to see the score there. All right. I can't tell what the score is from this screen. I can look for you. 0-0. Let's see what else we got here. Kids rushing to YouTubers. I should tell this weekend. It's madness. Yeah, and I have mixed feelings about that because I do believe there are some guys out there, like Ryan, Card Collector too. Like I've interacted with him at several different shows. I actually had him on here on Hobby Palooza, I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And Ryan's a genuine dude. Like he's the same guy that he was. Like I think the first time I met Ryan was probably, geez, at a national, probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And yeah, he's the same guy today that he was back then, and he's always been a good influence for kids and somebody that I think kids probably should look up to. He, yeah, he was doing that stuff back before he got big. So, but there's a lot of these other guys that are just I don't know. People, kids will gravitate towards interesting stuff. Yeah, you're 100% right about the views and subs do not equal hobby knowledge. Yeah, and I think that's what happens a lot, Dave, is if you're wanting to get into cards like a lot of people did over the last couple of years, they would, run a Google search or go into YouTube, and the kind of stuff that was getting recommended to these people, I don't think it's the kind of stuff that would be recommended by people that have been in the hobby for a long time. Most of those people were not in the hobby that were being recommended. Uh, I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't disagree that he's probably probably, I don't know him, but I mean, he's probably a good guy. But the camera should always, I would agree with that part of it for sure. The camera should always stay off. What's up, Lou? Gonna miss you at the national, man. You probably missed some good content prior to this hour. Crystal is the one that gives you tons of stuff, tons of accurate, great content. Yeah, I saw that he was on with Mike, right? Junquax Hero right before this. Seems like a good guy to me. I've never met him, but it seems like a good guy. Let's see here. Yeah, smaller collectors, man. That's the best stuff. That's where I get, like, and there. Let's be honest too. Like, there's tons of people that have tons of knowledge and probably more knowledgeable than most of us that are on YouTube that don't have YouTube channels, and you have to absorb this knowledge the old-fashioned way. You have to talk to them in person. Like at card shows, like that's one of the best things about shows is you get to talk to a lot of very knowledgeable people that don't have YouTube channels, which is the vast majority of the knowledgeable people. But yeah, that's one of the great things too about the nationals. You get to have. I've talked about this before, but I love just walking the floor with like guys like Mike and Eric and Dave and Andrew and so many others, that Josh. I mean, just guys that have like a tremendous amount of knowledge in a lot of different areas. And that's one of the things, like, people make these videos every year about, the national tips and tricks. That would be my one big thing is like, get a friend, or it doesn't even have to be somebody that you necessarily know great, but this is a good way to get to know people too. But grab somebody that you just and walk the floor with them just for like an hour or something. Like, I promise you, like, if you get somebody that's a friend of yours that's very knowledgeable and has different interests than you, like, that's even better if they have different interests than you, because you're going to learn a lot just by seeing what they're looking at. You can see a card and they can see a card, and they're going to be looking at it differently than what you are, and they're going to have different things to say about it too. So yeah, that's a ton of fun. Brad, what's up, man? Hopefully you'll be there in Chicago. Always have fun when I get to talk to Brad. Ray, what's up, man? Besides hanging out with me, let's see if we could just knock off that first part. What am I looking forward to the most at the national? To me, it's at this point, it's all about just hanging out with friends and trying to soak it all in, absorb as much as possible as far as like just moments. There's always stories. The stories from the national are way better than the cards that we pick up, friendships and all that stuff. Like, that's been that's one of the things that changed for me so much since I've been on YouTube, is like, because like I said, I've met so many of my friends on here. And yeah, because before I was on YouTube, like when I would go to the national, it was just kind of like, head down, all business, just, looking to make deals on cards. So I would go with my friend Michael, and it would just be him and I. We didn't, we knew a couple of other people that we might see there, but it's really opened things up. So that's the great part about YouTube. Like, as much as I complain about YouTube, it's well worth it just because of that. You'll be disappointed, Orlando. Yeah, I've heard he's kind of a jerk.
Oh, you had me laughing out loud on that one.
I mean, was I joking? I don't know. That's Josh. What is up, man? Another great friend, another great collector. Can't wait to see Josh again. Yeah, Dave, no doubt, man. I've got to hang with Dave at several different shows, the National and the Dallas show. So that's always fun. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a good time. So, can we tell the full story of our house in Atlantic City? The full story. I don't think we have time for the full story. I can give some. I can give some quick hits on it. So every time I took a shower, I felt like I was going to fall through the floor and possibly land on JT because I think he was sleeping on the couch downstairs. Walking up and down the stairs was interesting because the stairs were so narrow and it almost felt like you were going up a ladder because they were so steep. And you felt like you could fall through those stairs also. There was a gentleman that was sleeping on a mattress outside on the porch of the house that was right next to us, which was boarded up also. Gosh, I can't remember. I'm trying to think of who was it that booked that Airbnb? Oh yeah, it was Mike.
This idiot right here.
So anyone out there, never trust Mike to make your accommodations at a national. Luckily this year we have Garrett, who has much better taste. He has made the accommodations for us. So yeah. Let's see. First national since 2011. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because back in I was probably at that one actually. And there's so many people that I know now that were probably at that one also that we probably walked past each other at a certain time during that show and didn't even know it. So it would be kind of cool. Like one of these days I need to go back and watch. I think it was actually the sports card radio guys. Like, see, like a lot of people think those guys are kind of new to the scene, but I used to watch, like they would make like one video a year on YouTube and it was like them walking through the national. So that's how I know those guys. All the stuff they do now is, it's kind of new, but I need to go back and watch some of those, ones from the early like 2010, 2011, 2012, see if I recognize people now that I didn't when I watched it back then. Probably will. I probably walked past Eric, no telling how many times at a national. Didn't know. Yeah, Jeff, it should be fun. It's always a big event to get everybody together in one room. It's just a blast, man. Just because you're never going to get to spend as much time with certain people as you would like, and that's just the nature of the beast. Like there's so many people that'll be at the national that I would love to like spend an entire day with, but there's just not enough time to do that. But I definitely want to try to spend as much time as I can with people, especially ones that I have been friends with in the past, and then also meeting new people is always great. Say hey. Yeah, I like to have the game one behind me. Yeah, Zach, you totally should. It's not cheap. It's something that I think most of us that have went many years, we kind of start planning for next year's national, kind of like after this one ends, as far as like setting back a little bit of money here and there for like the flight and the accommodation. Yeah, staying home and scrolling eBay though. It'll be fun. There's probably good deals to be had on eBay during the national, I would guess. Oh, dude, you're lucky that you're that close, so you can just drive there every day. No hotels. Yeah, looking forward to meeting you, Jeff. Should be fun. Sorry, Ray, but I totally disagree with this. Like, no, count me out. If it comes, like, I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to going to the national, but I would have to really think hard about it if it goes back to AC. To be honest, I'm sure I would get talked into it, but it, man, it was interesting. The whole thing was interesting. Let's see. Scrolling through the comments here. Wait a minute. So Orlando saying that Amish Dave even got a haircut for the national. I haven't seen that yet. That's big. Talk about, like, if I was like smart enough to figure it out real quick, maybe Mike can put up a banner real fast that puts like breaking news: Amish Dave gets haircut. That would be cool if you could put that on the screen, Mike. Mike's kind of my producer in the background. Let's see. Root Beer GMT Collector says, make a donation, fellas. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, and once again, if you guys want to donate, great cause. And the reason that, if anybody's wondering, like if you're joining late, the reason that it's going to, here we go, breaking news down here at the bottom. See, I feel like I'm running like a news channel now. I'm no better than any of the others. Breaking news right here. But yeah, like, so down here below, like if you're wondering why the money is going to Gonzalez Nut at Gmail or at Hotmail, sorry, that's Mike's PayPal, and this is a way to make sure that they get more money it through goods and services. You know, there's no money taken out. Like if you make a contribution through YouTube, like they're going to take like at least half of it, I think. So this is just a more efficient way to get them more money. So yeah, good cause. So definitely do it. Carlisle, never been to a national, never had a hole in one. Yeah, I've been to a national, never had a hole in one. I'm not even that bitter about the hole in one because I've never even really gotten close. If I'd gotten close, maybe I would be bitter, but I'm so bad. I haven't played golf in so long. Let's see. I'm looking through here, guys. You guys have been doing good with the questions and comments, so keep those coming. A lot of pizza talk here. I definitely enjoy me some Chicago style pizza. Let's see. Easy, also not. Well, I mean, there's a reason it looked bad. It was bad. It was bad. Mike, if you want to hop on here for a second and you want to talk about the donations, if you can.
Nobody wants to have me hop on. You're doing a great job.
Well, I was going to have you know more about this than I do as far as like, you know, the donations and stuff. So if we can, you know.
Yeah, we're just raising money for Signatures for Soldiers through Hobby Palooza, and we've done this. This is the second year we've done it, and it's a great cause. They're the, you know, highlight charity for the national this year, and like they don't even know we do this. Like last year, I brought him a check, and he's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah."
I remember, I can actually give proof that
you filmed it.
I did. So I was there, like I was making sure, hey, I'm making sure that the money gets to the right people.
Oh,
but no, seriously, like how much was that? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I think it was like $1,700, something like that last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And you donated a good amount yourself, if I remember right.
I did, but I wanted to. So
well, I mean, hey, I'm trying to get you a little credit here. Like, you know, you took a lot of heat earlier for the accommodations in AC, so I'm trying to
even it out.
I broke you down. Now I got to build you back up.
Thanks. You can do a lot to tear me down. I am bummed that we're not traveling together this year, but when we were messing around with it, looking at flights, it's way cheaper for you to fly straight from Oklahoma City, which is both surprising but good.
Yeah, I mean, it just made sense to do it that way because, like you said, it's actually cheaper, and then I'll be there quicker than it would take me to drive to your house. So
Right.
it's like it's only a 2-hour flight from here, and it's like 3.5 hours to drive to your house, and then but it's still kind of like I'm kind of mixed about it because I want to see Norman and
Julie.
Julie's cooking, and but Julie's cooking. That's I'm gonna miss that. And then I've still got to get down there sometime soon though because I want to sit in that chair before you get that out of your room there.
It's going. It's leaving. We got a good question here. Over under. This is a great question for you, Andy. How many cards you pick up this year at the National? 2.5.
I like where your head's at on the odds. I would take the under. But
I would go under on that. I would go under.
That seems like a fair number, but I would say under. Yeah, in my opinion, Chicago's the best. What about you, Mike? You think it's the best?
Easy.
Yeah,
only because of the way it's all set up, right?
It's so convenient. All the hotels right there. If you have trade nights and get-togethers, like everything's just within walking distance. So yeah, I love that.
Makes it super easy. And like last time it was in Chicago, it was the first time we saw 24 hours of show, whether it was in the show floor or in every hotel lobby along the strip there. It was a 24-hour card show. I'd never seen anything like it. It was nuts.
He had people selling cards out of their cars outside of the hotels.
Yeah, crazy. It was nuts.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
Here's a question for you, Andy. You think collectors will ever value base cards again?
I would like the answer to be yes, but I think if we're talking about this ultra modern era, I mean, I guess it depends on what you call as far as valuing them. I mean, there's certain cards, base cards, that are always going to have some value. Like they're not going to be zero, but are they going to be looked at the same as base cards were 20, 25 years ago? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
too many parallels, too many options.
It's an interesting question. I think collectors will? I value base cards. I'm a collector, so I like having. I just bought a Mike Stanton rookie. I bought a Manny Machado rookie. They're base cards. They're not expensive.
Yeah, and I guess like I took the question as far as I'm looking at it for like base cards from like let's say the last 5 years and then going forward.
Yeah,
because I think that 2018, 2019 era is kind of where the base cards have, that's where you had a lot of the newer people came in and they just don't look at those the same way that we did in the past. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Judge year 2017, right?
Yeah.
And then the next year we had Ohtani, Acuna, Soto. We've had just a couple of good years of players, right? So that made those.
I think they're always going to have value, but what I'm saying is I just don't think people going forward are going to value them the same way that we did.
Yeah. James, can we donate another way? Yeah, you can go straight to signaturesforsoldiers.com and donate. That'd be fine by me. They don't, if you feel like contributing, that's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the important part is they get the money.
Brad's saying under. He took the under.
Brad knows me.
Yeah, he knows you too well.
I like where Brad's head's at on that.
And you and I have been we first met at the 2018 National, I believe. Or yes. 17. 18.
2018, I believe, yeah.
And we stayed together in 19, 21, 22, and now 23. So this is the fourth year in a row that they've had a show that we've stayed together. Yeah. And there's a reason for that, guys, because Andy's pretty awesome.
What's the highest number of cards you've seen me buy at a show?
4 or 5.
Right?
That's
So,
a
I mean,
long time ago.
yeah, that was a long time ago. That was back when cards were cheap.
Right. How's Cleveland as far as the national goes, Andy?
I like the setup in the inside the actual show, but it's terrible outside of that because everything is so spread out. Like you may end up staying at a hotel that's like 25, 30 minutes away.
Yeah, in terms of show floor, I think Cleveland's the best.
Yeah, you have like the Ferris wheel in there. It's
Yeah.
like,
I wonder if
and
they'll still have that.
you get a lot of like, if I remember right, you get a lot of natural light in there too, inside the facility. Not like the beer, but just like natural light, like sunlight.
All right. Yeah, we're getting the line's moving, Andy. Everybody's betting the under, so
See, I could totally, if this was like a real deal, I mean, it wouldn't take much for me to like, really screw the thing by just buying 2 cards. Well, it's dealer related, I think, for the most part. Most of the people that have set up at the National for many, many, many years are on the East Coast, and they don't want to travel to the West Coast, and they get to vote. Pretty much, right, Mike?
Yep. Money talks. So it's a shame. I hope that the Burbank show, which you and I went to with Josh, when was that? February this year?
February. Yeah.
Maybe that becomes kind of a West Coast really big show. That would be great. I mean, the West Coast needs big shows.
Yeah, and I think that's where the Burbank show is kind of heading. It's kind of more like a West Coast national type feel because that was a great show, the first one they had, and all indications are this one's going to be way bigger and better. So
yeah, it was really good, but I just don't think you're going to get the East Coast dealers to fly to the West Coast. They expect the West Coast dealers to fly to the East Coast,
right?
But
a lot of them don't.
Yeah,
just for that very reason.
Now, so we were talking. Here's another AC question.
Uh-huh.
The show itself was great.
Yes.
Everything else about it, it was, and parking wasn't an issue for us. We were as bad as or as sketchy as the accommodations were. We were only a 3-minute walk from the convention center. So,
but it wasn't. I mean, I don't want to overstate this, but at times it didn't feel like it was a safe 3-minute walk.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do it after dark.
We were not in an ideal area. And like we joke about this and stuff, but I mean, obviously you didn't know that when you booked the accommodate. Like we didn't know that we were in the spot we were in.
Yeah, it was Sketchville.
Once we got there, it was like, oh.
A lot of people may not know this, but you and I both attended our first national the same year.
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody can guess what year Andy and I both attended the national. We didn't know each other at the time. It was my first national and your first national. Who wants to guess what year that was? Some people may know because we've talked about this before, but
right. There's a lot of good comments coming in about AC. I like Keating's comment. That's a good one there.
So here's some guesses. Well, Otto got it. Otto is correct.
Yep.
1990.
He's heard us talk about this before. 1990 in Arlington, Texas. I would have been 11 years old.
I was 16. So.
And I physically bumped into Willie Mays at the show. Like
he said, "Get out of my way, kid."
It was like a crowded aisle. Like I was going this way, he's going that way, and I literally bumped into him. Like he had a big security guy with him, and I knew who he was, but the security guy was a little bit intimidating. We didn't stay around and chat.
Right. We got a rookie question for the national. Cash only, credit cards accepted, question mark.
Yeah, I think a lot of the dealers now will accept different forms of payment, but cash is always going to get you the best deal and is preferred. There will probably be some people there that only do cash. I mean, there's some of the old school people that probably still do it that way, but for the most part, you can. The problem with the different payments though is like the service inside the convention center. Trying to get like a payment to go through is sometimes a problem. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree. Carry cash, and a lot of guys will take PayPal or stuff like that, but I would just say they want to have it non-reportable as much as possible.
So,
John's asking, what cards did you buy in 19? I think I was buying some Cecil Fielder rookies and a lot of Juan Gonzalez rookies in 1990.
I think I was probably buying boxes of like 90 Pro Set football, 90 Tops baseball, stuff like that. That's back when, a box, like they weren't even hobby boxes back then. They were all the same. It didn't matter if you bought them at a card shop or the gas station. Like they all had the same cards in them. But a box was, probably like 18, 20 bucks.
He said he's worried about carrying that much cash on me. There will be guys there with hundreds of thousands of dollars in their backpack, like cash. Not me or Andy.
I wouldn't advise that, but there will be for sure.
We've known people, Andy, that have done that. And
yeah,
like, what?
And I wouldn't advise it still. I mean, but,
George was buying Chris Sabos in 1990.
Yeah, Chris Sabo. Like, as far as singles go, back in 1990, I was probably buying like Ozzie Smith. Like, I used to have like a big binder I would just try to get as many Ozzie Smiths as I could, different cards.
Yeah, I was doing Ruben Sierra. So, no, I don't actually remember any of the cards I got at the National in 1990.
I do remember like the Upper Deck promo sheet. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, I think I still have that somewhere. And then I have the program, the national program, still somewhere too.
So it was you guys that ruined the hobby. I guess so.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, not just us, but yeah, people like us.
Exactly.
But I get where he's going. 90 Pro Set was.
Should have bought the score. Should have bought the score supplemental.
Well, 90 score was bad too. 89 score was good football, but
yeah.
Yeah,
90 score has the Emmett rookie, right?
The supplemental.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't in the regular. He was in Pro Set, like Series 2. And he wasn't in Tops either. He was in like Tops Traded. So I know, John, I'm telling you, this has always been a problem for me. My grandpa, he still jokes with me to this day because we could go into a convenience store and he would be like, you can pick out like one candy bar or something. And he said I would just sit there and just like, struggle with it. And finally he would just grab something for me and we'd have to leave because I've always had problems, just,
Josh says he was buying Kevin Moss in 1990.
See, Josh is a sucker because like he was buying Kevin Moss. I was selling Kevin Moss.
There you go. Scott wants to know, does JT get to sleep in a bed this year? Yes, he does.
Does he?
Well, maybe.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be nice here for everyone.
There's a chance he could.
We got a minute left, Andy. I'll let you finish up with your folks here and
all right.
Get it all ready to go.
All right. I appreciate everybody coming in here. Lots of great comments and questions. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today is just kind of I hate it when people do live streams and they don't pay attention to the comments and all that stuff. They just kind of are just talking to the screen without paying attention. It kind of defeats the purpose of it. So that's kind of what I like is I like to hear what you guys are thinking because who cares what I think, really, quite honestly. I got about 15 seconds to go, but yeah, thanks once again, guys. Hopefully I'll see a lot of you at the National, and if you're not there this year, hopefully I will see you there sometime in the future. As Mike would say, I'm going to steal Mike's line: keep collecting.